Dean 78904. That's a daily fantasy handle that hopefully maybe possibly takes down some money in some of these contests going down tonight. DraftKings, Fanduel, talking the association 11-game slate. Bring it on, Will. You guys know him from such things as the Prop Shop. I'm gonna let them know that you're on air. Do they get excited in the Prop Shop when you're on air?
No, not at all. They don't care.
They're not starstruck. Oh, that's the guy we talked to at the prop.
No. Listen, first of all, I'm not a celebrity or anything. I just like to help people make a few dollars along the way. Interesting story, Dean. I actually ran into someone from the DFS community just this week. I was out. I was getting some pizza, and I was sitting down in a chair. And I had on some Prize Picks paraphernalia, a nice Prize Picks fitted, and a Prize Picks hoodie. And I was just sitting there. This guy comes up to me and said, "Hey, man, do you play Prize Picks?" I said, "Yeah." He said,
very observant fella.
Man, he said, "Man, so what's your name?" And I told him. He said, "From RotoGrinders?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, wow. I didn't even know you were around here." I said, "Yeah, I live in Charleston." And we started talking. He talked about Prize Picks and his experience there. And, he was like, "Man, I follow you on Twitter." I was like, "Yeah, So that was an interesting interaction, I must say. It's not often, which is why, man, listen, you have to treat people the way you want to be treated. You never know who you're going to run into in the street. So it's always good to be kind. And not that I'm not a kind person. I'm just saying it speaks to that fact that you never know who you're going to run into. And, we talked and so, he's in the area, perhaps we'll link up or something like that. But that was a very cool experience. And so to answer your question, Dean, no, people in the prop shop do not care if I'm live. All they want are the plays or the picks. And I understand because it's, if it's their livelihood and money making's on the line, I get it.
Do you want to say what's up to the chat, Mr. Richard and Keelan and Stan? Yes, Zion is going to feast tonight. We'll talk about him soon enough. It should be a good one. He's going to, I wrote him up today. I have a lot of stats off the top of the head. I'm sure I can kind of run out there. But, Zion is facing a San Antonio team that I believe they give the second most points in the paint. And Zion, that is where he lives. He brings his lunchbox. 78% of his points, I believe, come from the paint. And also they're without Jakob Poeltl. It's going to be a disaster on the inside. He's just going to destroy anybody you throw in front of him. I wish he could hit threes. I wish he could do a little bit more.
I wish he could hit threes.
Well, if I spend that kind of money, I want guys that can hit threes. Like two is
no, I understand. Trust me, I'm with you, brother. I'm good here. I totally get it.
He still can get to 40, though, I think, in theory. We'll see. Stay tuned on that. He's one of my favorite plays on this slate. By the way, I'm just curious. I meant to ask. You kind of buried the leader. You didn't talk about it. It wasn't the key part of the story, but this is what I'm curious about. You said you were going to get pizza. Are you getting are you supporting your local pizzeria that's almost definitely better than Papa John's or Pizza Hut or Little Caesars? Where are you going? Are you going national brand, or are you going to go the local guy? It's almost definitely better.
I do have a local pizza place, but I wasn't going local on this one because my fiance was not feeling well. So I could not go on the other side of town. I needed to go somewhere quickly and get back home. So it was Marco's pizza.
Okay.
So, Marco's is fine. They've got this breadless pizza bowl that I usually get. I got that and some wings. And my son gets a pepperoni, and we go from there. But that's pretty much what happened. I just needed to run out and do that, and so that's how I ended up not local. Now we've got a couple places here that are local spots. Crust Pizza is really good if you're into Woodfire Grill. Crust Pizza here locally in Somerville is really good. I like that place. And I'll just kind of call that my favorite one.
Fair enough. When I lived, I wasn't too far from you. I was in the Daniel Island, Charleston. Orlando is our go-to spot. I don't know if you know Orlando's or not, but that's where That's what we would get. But yeah, they did.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm on that side of town all the time. I go to Mount Pleasant pretty frequently, so I know Mount Pleasant isn't like Daniel Island, but you know what I'm saying. Like it's really close. So
yeah. All right, Lemon Gamer. There's our pleasantries. Do want to go game by game in just a second. Any overarching thoughts as far as this slate? Of course, we're waiting for a lot of stuff. We're expecting Chris Middleton to come back tonight, make his season debut. Potentially Bogdan Bogdanovic makes his season debut, and they might really need him. I don't know how much they're going to push him, but Trae Young is currently questionable. They're already without John Collins. Hunter is also out. Halliburton plays late, and he's questionable. Jamal Murray got a questionable tag added today against Atlanta. We're getting Jimmy Butler back tonight. He's angry because it's a rematch, and Tatum just absolutely thrashed my Heat. Did I mention Capella's questionable too? Atlanta bigs could be a lot of trouble. Seeing how that news drops, it might be in a Kungwu night. CJ McCollum expected back tonight for the Pels. Brandon Ingram is still out. That's the main ones, I think. Trae Young and Halliburton are probably the two big ones, and to a lesser degree, maybe Jamal Murray. But your thoughts as far as anything there, what we're monitoring most? There's not a lot of amazing value plays right now. If you look at like lineup HQ and you sort, by favorite play by dollar, there's not a lot popping. There's not for an 11 gamer. It's kind of surprising. We'll work through it, and of course stuff changes. But your general thoughts on the injuries, on the slate as a whole?
Yeah, man, I'm with you, D. Not a lot. So what I think, and I know you asked me about that, but yeah, not a whole lot of value, but on a slate like tonight, especially on FanDuel, man, I think you're building, in my opinion, based on matchup and salary combined, which obviously you should be doing that every night. But I'm saying when there's no value, then you don't really have these, cheap pegs that you can kind of throw in places. So you're kind of looking for, what are some good spots? What are some mid-range guys, right, that might be a little bit underpriced, considering the matchup, considering the situation. Like, those are the types of things I'm looking at. And so, like, for instance, you're talking about if Trae Young sits, you end up getting DeJounte Murray at 8,800. That's really going to open some things up, right? Because he's 8,800, but the guy can put up 60. I'm saying with no Trae Young. So that's what I'm saying. Like, an $8,800 guy could be value on this slate given the circumstance. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. So I'd be very cautious. And I know we're not like digging in just yet, but I think for me, it's just being cautious with the 12K spins, the 10K spins. Like, you got to have some good decisions so that you can put together quality lineups across the board. Because that value it essentially may not be there.
Yeah, AJ Griffin's another guy that could get a boost if Young is out. He'll probably be tasked to run a bunch of minutes. Again, Hunter already ruled out. Collins already ruled out. Capella questionable. Maybe we'll get some news on Atlanta at some point throughout the show. So dollar for dollar, like there's only one player, according to our projections right now on FanDuel, that's projected to get 6X on an 11-game slate. That's kind of wild. Like we've seen it before, like 10 or 15 guys. And again, this stuff changes. But right now, that guy is Colin Sexton, a little bit too cheap there for Utah. Good matchup, obviously. Great game environment. He's the only one. And on DraftKings, it's like 4 or 5 guys. And, Isaiah Roby, in part because he's still a minimum of 3.1K. San Antonio's really thin. You need him to 6X plus because his salary is so cheap. And also Najee Marshall expected back tonight for New Orleans. And then there's KBD, another cheap spur, and another cheap spur in Collins. That is our 6X guys. That's it. So, yeah, it is interesting. I imagine if we run some optimals, and I'll do that at some point throughout the show, we're almost definitely not going to see the 12K guys hitting them, like you're saying, because you're sort of forced into a bounce build, I think. At least as of right now. Stay tuned. Obviously, things can change. But anything else before we're going to dive in and break it down game by game?
No, I think I'm good. I think we plug along here.
Yeah. All right. Very first game of the slate. There's only one 7 o'clock game, which that's good for if you want to backload, if you want to wait for news. Trying to think how much I like this game. I'm curious to get your thoughts because I do like one player in particular in this game. 225 is the total. Washington at Charlotte. Charlotte getting 4 points at home. Charlotte, of course, still without LaMelo and Hayward and DSJ. Rozier expected back tonight from his illness. Washington really healthy. The exception would be Rui Hachimura. Otherwise, they are pretty clean. I like Rozier. I think Rozier is going to be asked to do a lot in this game, and he kind of fits that sort of mid-tier build for me.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts as far as Rozier and the rest of your Hornets?
Yeah, on FanDuel where Rozier is 7,400, I don't mind that. Oubre 72, and we've seen some upside with some of these guys, so I don't hate the spot for those two. PJ Washington, man, it's odd with him because the minutes aren't there, but it does feel like a spot where they would need him more than Mason Plumlee. We've been playing Mason Plumlee, around 30 minutes. I'm not saying 30, but around 30, 27, 28, 30 from time to time. It feels more like a PJ Washington spot to me, but I don't want to risk that in a single entry or 3-entry max or something like that. If I'm running 150, I think I get to some PJ Washington tonight. I think, he's kind of I got 5,800 on FanDuel that you're able to sprinkle in there. But I think the main cogs here, Terry Rozier, Kelly Oubre, if this game is going to stay reasonably close, you have to think they're going to be involved. I don't hate Jalen McDaniels on – he's probably a better play than PJ, to be honest with you. 4,500 on FanDuel. McDaniels is probably the guy. And that does give you a little bit of value. We don't have a lot of ownership on him right now. So if the game is close, they are at home. I won't be able to watch that game tonight because I'll be at my son's game. But
how's he been playing, your son? I know you talked about him a couple of times. How's he doing?
Oh, man, listen, I'll be honest with you. He hasn't been playing great. He's 10th grade on varsity, trying to find his way. You got seniors that are really talented. And, first of all, I had to encourage him. So let me say this on JV. So he was the JV MVP last year in 9th grade. And so,
nice.
Clearly he's good enough to play on varsity. And I just have to just keep being positive with him. And when I say he's not playing great, it's really more his confidence. Defensively, he's been a beast. He's been playing great. But as I always tell him, I said, man, defense is going to keep you in the rotation. But the scoring is what's going to keep you on the floor. And for a kid that, dropped 21 in 2 quarters his last game, the coach just didn't even play him because he was just going to go off.
Yeah.
Just let the other guys play. I told him, I said, man, you might not think so. I'm like, your coach needs you to score the basketball. And he's like, well, they want to run it through the big man this year and play off of that. I said, yeah, but not at the expense of you not taking open shots. So, I saw some glimpses the last game of his capabilities. And so today, or either last night, he said, man, I'm scoring 30 tomorrow. And I said, there we go.
Call the shot.
That's it. So he's not going to score 30, but if he gets to 10 to 15, then the next few games, I think he's going to be ready to roll. And that's really all it is. It's just a confidence thing. He's a really good player. And he should, in the end, he's going to be better than I was. And I was pretty good. So my hope is he is better than me. He can go on and live his dreams and play in college and do his thing. So, I'm an honest coach. I'm an honest dad. And he didn't want to take my constructive criticism because I told him he wasn't shooting. And he's like, well, there's no excuses. You're not shooting the ball, period. And so I think he's going to put up some shots tonight. Back to our regularly scheduled programs. My son does not play on an NBA team. I'm going to go ahead and talk about Washington. What's that, Dean?
I asked how much he was on FanDuel tonight, but go ahead. Continue.
If he was on FanDuel tonight, he'd probably be 5K.
Oh.
Just because he's coming off the bench. I would say if this was last season, he'd be 10K. Quite honest with you, but he's not on JV anymore. Yeah, exactly. He's still on varsity now. So I will say, in terms of this particular game, Denny Avdia is someone I've been like just kind of playing because with Rui out, and I do feel like he's had a better chance to kind of get there. Kristaps Porzingis is 9,100 on FanDuel tonight. That's going to feel very yucky. Like you're not going to like it. But listen, man, he's playing the Hornets. And believe it or not, Kristaps Porzingis has been really good in the fantasy points department. Last 2 games, 56, 64. He's going to go through some 30-point stretch. But Dean, you got to say, these are the most 50-plus point fantasy performances we've seen from Kristaps Porzingis probably in about 3 or 4 years. And that's not an exaggeration. I mean, 3 or 4. I mean, he's consistently hitting 50 fantasy points once or twice a week. That's what I'm looking for. I'm hating that, he's playing the Hornets after he's going 60 and 50 back-to-back. But I got to think, man, he's going to get rolling tonight here. So he's somebody that I'm very interested in the fantasy points department.
He worked Gobert. Like, Gobert just did not want to jump at him in shooting his threes. He just kept burying a bunch of threes in that game. I think he had like 30 points in the bucket.
That's what it takes. That's what it takes.
I'm not playing enough lineups where I can prioritize it. It's the first game as well. But if you're playing Porzingis, I'm not going to yell at you. I get it. Anything else as far as this game we stress before we move on? My favorite play is Rozier in this game. Only game at 7 o'clock. I'm fine with the pieces on Charlotte. I'm okay with the plum log. The millionaire is fine. Center's weird tonight. Where I don't know as of right now. I don't know if the salary for like a Jokic. I don't know if I have the salary for an Embiid. I don't really love Embiid tonight. So it feels kind of like a save. I mean, Mobley, I guess, is a center, probably the chalk center tonight. We'll talk about him soon enough. The absence of Jared Allen, the matchup against Orlando. Orlando could be really severely limited on the inside as far as boards. You got anything else to start Washington, Charlotte, or shall we move on?
Let's move it.
All right. Yeah, we're moving on. Talking about the Orlando game, Orlando versus Cleveland. Bunch of games at 7:30. Orlando's going to be thin. How thin are they going to be? We'll see. Stay tuned. But we definitely know that Wendell Carter's not playing basketball tonight. Okiki's out. Now Gary Harris, who just ran a bunch of minutes, is out. Suggs is still out. Bamba, the other big, who may get some run. We'll see if he goes. But he's also questionable. If he doesn't go, man, they're going to be really, really thin, Orlando. And, I just imagine that Mobley's going to do whatever he wants to do. Feels like a potential blowout on layaway. Double digit as far as the line. I believe it's a front half of a back-to-back for Orlando. Several teams have that sort of like it's the front half. And if this game gets ugly, they might pull their guys a little bit earlier than normal. Front half for Orlando. Front half for Charlotte for what it's worth. Toronto, Milwaukee, Houston's another one that's kind of interesting because they have another scheduled blowout against Phoenix. Front half of a back-to-back. Nobody's on a back half because only one game yesterday. That was Dallas versus Detroit. Golden State and Utah also on the front end. Cleveland without Jared Allen. We'll see what as far as Kevin Love. He still has that thumb. He is questionable. But yeah, all our stuff is popping in favor of Evan Mobley. He looks like a really, really strong play. Feels like that double-double is well positioned against Orlando. Thin, maybe even thinner on the inside. I like Donovan Mitchell. I don't know if he's like my one big spend, if that's the guy I'm going to play. But again, not going to say you can't play it. I hope Bamba plays just so I don't have to sort too much through this Orlando mess. Bull's like, he's getting priced where he kind of sort of should be. But like he's in the mix. You don't really want to pick on Cleveland, good defensive team, obviously. But
gosh.
What's going on?
Now I'm laughing at you. You're like, I hope Bamba plays because I just don't want to sort through Orlando, and I get it.
Look, how many Wagner do we have to talk about? Listen, I mean, Admiral Schofield. Come on.
Yeah, and guy, I don't think we cleared this up too deep, but once again, because it's a big slate, I'm covering FanDuel, you're covering DK. I don't think you mentioned that, but just so these guys know what's happening. With Orlando, I'm probably just playing Paolo Banchero, and that's it. I don't hate Franz Wagner, but I think that's all I'm doing, man. I'm just not going to worry. Bamba's 5,200 if he plays, great. No big deal to me. If he goes off for 30, great. But I don't want to deal with that situation either. With the Cleveland Cavaliers, I almost don't want to deal with Cleveland either. Like, I think Mobley at 7,200 is fine. on FanDuel, and Donovan Mitchell at 8,700 is fine. Darius Garland at 8,500 is fine. But once again, if I had to choose between Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell tonight and DeJounte Murray absence with an absent Trae Young, then we're all going to go with DeJounte, I think, in that spot. So that's kind of where I am with this particular game. I'm not saying don't play anyone, but I don't feel like anyone is an extreme priority. Mobley's a good play. He's, in my opinion, I think Mobley's probably the best play on the team as currently constructed on FanDuel with these prices.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's the same deal on DK as well. I'm looking at I pulled up Meansy's core plays. Of course, you guys know, you should know at this point that Crunch Time, it's free this year. Meansy will be on in about an hour or so with Kevin Roth, and STL Cards will give his tournament takes as well. And this is part of premium, but just taking a peek, I believe he has Mobley as his top center, which is would not be a surprise. He breaks it down by site. Top center on FanDuel, and I believe it's a top center on DK as well. Yes, it is. No surprise. The matchup looks really, really prime. I don't need Kevin Love out, but it certainly doesn't hurt if Kevin Love's not going to play. He's a guy that might grab a few boards. Also, when he's on the court, he's probably not going to start, but when they cross over, Love will take a few extra shots. That slight hit to the usage on Mobley, but yeah, he feels like a really, really strong play no matter what. And the Orlando stuff, I mean, yeah, Ben Caro at 7'8", Bamba's 6'8" now. Like, again, his price is almost getting to his height, which is crazy. If you'd have told me that was like a possible thing at the start of the season, good for him. Making a career for himself. Cole Anthony, they're still working him back in. Fultz, they're still working him back in. No reason to play those guys. We shall move on, right? We're moving on to a game that we don't have a clue because it's Denver and Atlanta, and we're in a holding pattern. I never officially introduced that game, but yeah, Cleveland, 10-point dog there. 217 is the total. Orlando's got a team total just barely over 100, 103, which may be the lowest team total on the board. If it's not, it's certainly on the podium. Next game is Denver and Atlanta, 228. That's a pretty good number. Atlanta is a 3-point dog here. Kind of hinted at it a couple times already as far as Atlanta. We don't know about Trae Young, but he's got a shoulder that was added today, the day of, generally speaking. You never really know, but it feels like it's more likely he sits. I don't know. When you drop a cue on that day, but again, stay tuned. We should have it 7:30. I imagine we get it. Maybe we'll get it at 6 o'clock when the coach meets with the media. They are without John Collins. Trent Forrest doesn't matter so much, but he's also out. Their starting center, Clint Capella, is questionable with the foot. Their backup, their starting four, Collins, like I said, he's out. Their backup center will be Frank Kaminsky. He's also questionable. Jalen Johnson's got an ankle, so he's questionable. DeAndre Hunter is out. They're starting one of their starting wings. Their heads are falling off there in Atlanta. It's a disaster. On the other side, we got Jamal Murray questionable with his quad, and we know MPJ, Michael Porter Jr., is still out with that heel. And basically, whenever somebody's out for Denver, Bruce Brown he's so versatile, he can step in for basically anybody. We're projecting him to start tonight for the Nuggets. I guess we'll play some if-then stuff, right? If Young is out, you've hinted at it a couple times already. DeJounte should run the show. AJ Griffin should be getting a ton of minutes as well. Not a great matchup. I think that's just worth acknowledging. Denver, good defenders out there in Brown and KCP. Start with the Hawks and we'll work to the Nuggets. Go for it.
Yeah, man. So in terms of the Hawks, no secret here. Definitely think it's DeJounte Murray's season. Now, how that's going to affect Clint Capella tonight, I'm actually not sure because I do feel like, Trae Young is partly responsible for some of these easy buckets that Clint Capella receives. So not quite sure how that's going to break out. But, Dean, with it being such a large slate, I think DeJounte Murray is on the table. You talked about A.J. Griffin. Like, if he plays 28 minutes, like, is that good? Probably so for his price. He's $4K on FanDuel. And then you've Jalen Johnson here who, how many minutes is he going to get, Dean? Is he going to play 25 minutes? Is he going to play 28 minutes? And I know we have projections. Don't get me wrong. I understand that.
He's questionable for the record, but yeah, you're talking obviously if he plays.
Yeah, if he plays, but I think it's just, to me, it's a whole lot of if, then, and, but stuff with the Hawks. But here's the constant. If Trey is out, play DeJounte. And I really don't think you have to play anyone else. I think that's enough to get it done.
If Capella's out, Okongwu looks like a really strong play. There's some, foul risk having the lockdown, Jokic on the other side. But, I mean, especially if Kaminsky doesn't go, like imagine if both those guys are out. Again, like you said, it's all if-thens. But down Collins, what if they're down Capella and Kaminsky as well? They're back up 5. They're going to have to play Okongwu like 35 minutes. Basically no other choice. On the season, Okongwu, 0.92 DK points per minute. You mentioned AJ Griffin. We kind of talked about him, 0.82 fantasy points per minute. I think he's getting, what do we have him projected for? I was just looking at mid-20s as is, and this is with Trey in. We are giving him 28 minutes as of right now. And if Trey is out, I would say that probably jumps to like 31, 32, something like that. Like Jarrett Culver is projected to get some run. I can't imagine you're rostering Jarrett Culver unless maybe Trey's out and maybe he might pop to some degree. We'll see. Stay tuned on that. And if Trey's in, what if everybody's in for Atlanta? Then they're just not that appealing.
Yeah, it's not appealing at all, really.
What about Denver? Your thoughts there as far as Denver?
I mean, on FanDuel, Denver's just, they're a weird team. Jamal Murray's up to 7,100 now. I don't really want to play anybody from Denver. And look, Jokic has been playing okay. Hasn't really had to play too much against Houston. He's only played 20 minutes. But I'm not thrilled about Denver here tonight. Somebody would have to sit. And I know MPJ is already out. But I mean, someone else would have to sit for me to be really interested in Denver. Jamal Murray ends up taking a seat. Now we're getting interested. So I guess I'll cover that. I think Bones is supposed to be back tonight. So I don't hate Bones. But
what if
that's about
it? I don't want to play Ish Smith, but like, what if he starts in the absence of Murray, which may happen?
He could. I mean, he's played 20-plus minutes in the past 2 games. And I will say, Ish Smith is a value guy I trust. Like, and what I'm saying is he's going to go for like 20 or he's going for like 35. But he's not going to get 8 fantasy points. Like, Ish Smith is a professional. He's a professional veteran. You know what I mean?
He's a professional basketball player. He's like when somebody says is a professional hitter, he's a professional basketball player.
Yeah. He's not going to, like, let you down. He's going to do what he's supposed to do. And if he gets to, like, 35 fantasy points, you're rejoicing. If he gets to 25, you're like, yeah, okay, it's cool. You're only 4K. I'll take that. So, yeah.
0.91 in the season for what it's worth. Fantasy points per minute. 0.91 fantasy points per minute on the season.
You see what I'm saying? A veteran almost average. Like, that's what you're looking for. With a vet that's going to come in and play 25 to 28 minutes.
Yeah. It would go down, though, playing alongside Jokic, I would imagine. I'm imagining a lot of that is without playing Jokic. But
I mean, we say that, though. But how many teams have we seen Ish Smith go to and give us the same production? Like, it's insane. If he plays meaningful minutes, the fantasy points tend to come because even if he's not scoring, like he'll get a steal or a block. And I'm serious. Like, he will get a steal or a block, a few assists, a few rebounds, probably score 8 to 10 points. He's got 28 fantasy points. You're like, dang, Ish, how'd you even do that? That's how it happens.
Bones, they tend to not like to start Bones. They like him in the second units. I wouldn't think that would happen. We'll see. By the way, somebody in chat's asking about Okongwu, how handsy he is. Very handsy. Just pulled him up as far as his per 36. As a rookie a couple years ago, he averaged the foul out at per 36. 3 personal fouls per 36. I'm sorry, 6 personal fouls. This year, a little bit better. He improved. He's down to 5.2 per 36. But again, he's not playing against Jokic every single game, and Jokic will draw some fouls. So I wouldn't say you can't play him. Obviously, just be aware that's in the range of outcomes. Like 2 quick fouls is something that can happen for Okongwu. If Capella is out, yada yada yada, we may not have to worry about that.
So let me comment too. Our boy Michael here says Ish also likes to contribute. He doesn't just stand around. I agree, Michael. Like, That's why he's a professional veteran. And then our other good friend of the show, Mr. Richard, Tutti Frutti. Oh, anyway, Dylan Brooks is for me. I won't have if he beats me, so be it. Mr. Richard, listen, I love your thinking, sir, because I don't play Dylan Brooks ever. Like the whole team has to be out for me to start considering Mr. Dylan Brooks and his 30 shots, hitting five out of 30 shots, just 20 fantasy points. I'm with you, brother. I'm not playing Mr. Dylan Brooks. Good call out. Love it. My thoughts exactly. You know, like, so there's certain guys.
When Jaw's out, I play him. Like, I don't. When Jaw's in, I don't play him. I have a pretty simple.
Well, if Jaw's out right now, maybe because we also don't have Desmond Bain. If Desmond Bain is in, I won't play. I will not play Dylan Brooks with Jaw and Desmond Bain. And then the other thing too, Dylan Brooks reminds me of Aaron Gordon with Orlando. Like, I just didn't play Aaron Gordon. He'd go down to 5K, Dean, and I just wouldn't play him, and it never affected me, ever. He'd go off for one 60-point game. He'd go off for one 60-point game a year, and then everybody hopped on. And then you know what he did? I'm going to pull out a Stephen A. Smith quote, Dean. Just be patient. He will let you down. Just wait. A black cat was running around his locker room because, man, his production was awful from a fantasy perspective consistently when he was in Orlando. And not much has changed in Denver outside of this season with a few splash games. All right, I'm done. Back on track here. Thanks for letting me get my rant in, Dean. Inspired by Michael and Mr. Richard. I appreciate you guys.
And Stephen A. All right. We're done. I mean, again, it's a big old holding pattern with the Denver-Atlanta game. And it could be worthless. It could be really, really interesting. Crunch time probably have better stuff to say than we did. But there's just all sorts of potential outcomes. All right. Miami, my Heat, got absolutely thrashed versus the Celtics. Was Jason Tatum just put a hurting on him pretty good. Did he put 50 points in the bucket? I think he was 8 of 12 from 3. That'll do it sometimes. 226.5 is the total. Boston is an 8-point favorite here. The injury report for Miami is immense, but like basically everybody's available. And Butler's coming back. Dedmon questionable, who cares? Jovic questionable, who cares? Everybody else essentially good to go. So I just don't like Miami at all when you're bringing Butler back. And I would note when he comes back from injury, he tends to be like just he's good to go and they'll play him 37 minutes. Like they usually don't baby him. He's usually 100%. Let's go. Boston is fully healthy. I was looking at this stuff. I was digging into how good Boston's offense has been, Will. And so offensive efficiency, the Celtics, they're 121.5, number 1 in basketball. Number 2 is Phoenix, 116.5. Like, well, what does that mean, right? They're 5 points better than the second best offense. Now, put that in perspective. The Mavericks, 10th in the league, are 5 points better than the Spurs, the second to worst defense. That's how good Boston's been. The gap from 1 to 2 is the same as the gap from 10 to 29. The Celtics are awesome. I don't know what like championship odds are right now, but Boston's got to be like top 2, top 3 in the conversation. They are rolling, and they don't even have Robert Williams yet. We'll see how that comes out when they get their defense gets the boost as well. But the tricky part is everybody's healthy. Miami's defense gets a boost here with Butler being back as well. Again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you can't play Tatum, but the math says you shouldn't. But like, scoreboard says you should, right? I don't know what to do with this game, but I'm mostly off it, and I hope I don't regret that. I'm definitely off Miami.
Well, with Jimmy Butler coming back, that's going to start putting a wrench in all of our Miami plans, especially as they've gotten more healthy. Guys are back in the fold. Now, and I will say, as long as Jimmy Butler was sitting, like you could actually still play some of these guys, but now that he's back, forget it. Kyle Lowry's fountain of youth is over. And so, yeah, I don't think I want to play not a single person from Miami. And I would have played a little bit of Bam tonight, otherwise at 9K on FanDuel. But with Jimmy back even for, I'd say 20, 25 to 30 minutes, I don't want to play Bam at all. I definitely think Bam takes a hit here. Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is a game I just want to sit back and watch and not have anything invested, so I don't have to have any type of tilt going on. Like, this is a good watchable game, I think, with both teams healthy. Even though Boston has been, on an elite level here.
Is this no, it's not an ESPN game. The ESPN doubleheader is Milwaukee at home versus the Lakers, and then the Bulls versus Golden State. That's a nice little schedule for them. Good job, ESPN. Yeah, I thought for some reason this one might be on there, but no. Milwaukee and getting Middleton back, presumably, against the Lakers, that makes sense too. Yeah, like you can absolutely play. We got Smart at 15% on DK, pretty good price at 5.9. Horford's got a pretty good price as well at 5.2, getting 11%, but like Jaylen Brown's getting 10% ownership and Tatum's getting less than 5, which is, again,
but hear me out here, Dean. Yeah, and this is from a real basketball perspective. This doesn't have anything to do with fantasy per se. I just kind of want to talk about the Celtics briefly in terms of like just basketball. And so, like, let's just hear this starting lineup. It start on our projections page, and there's a reason for this. Smart, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford. Now, let's just go to this bench really quickly. Grant Williams coming off the bench, Malcolm Brogdon coming off the bench, and then you've got this odd collection of guys: Hauser, Cornette, Pritchard, Jackson, Griffin, Vonleh, Kevin Gale, right? I'm doing this for a reason. So none of these names sound inspiring at all together, right? But when Robert Williams comes back,
yeah,
and Al Horford possibly goes to the bench, or Derek White, one of the two. Like, I honestly would prefer they sent Al Horford to the bench. And that sounds crazy. Think about what they can do with this roster when now Al Horford's on the bench and they bring in Grant Williams, Malcolm Brogdon. Like, Malcolm Brogdon is a starter. Like, he's a starter, basically. Derek White has been a starter. So, like, just looking at it like that, and you're saying, well, that doesn't seem like a lot. They've got 8 guys that could go anywhere and start in the league. Like 8. So they can just literally keep that rotation going. Then you throw in Hauser or you throw in Peyton Pritchard. And I mean, Blake Griffin, say what you want about Blake Griffin. Like, he's still a veteran now, right? Like, he's had his time in the
professional basketball player.
Yes, he's been a star. He's been an all-star. He's not going to the Hall of Fame. But my point is,
maybe, I don't know.
I don't think Blake goes to the Hall of Fame. I don't think he's going to the Hall of Fame. But my point is, an 8-man rotation in the NBA that's solid, that's a big deal. Like, they've got a legit 8-man rotation, which is really probably expanded to about 9 or 10 with how they play. And I know it'll get a little bit shorter in the finals. In the finals, it might just be those 8. But just wanted to talk about Boston real quick from a real life perspective. And it's really because of the development of their young guys and Brown and Tatum and not blowing it up and deciding that they were going to commit to playing together and playing together the right way. And I mean, now they people are considering them championship contenders. You got Tatum in the running for MVP very early. But to give them their props.
They're the favorite, by the way. I just pulled it up, the Fanduel Sportsbook. Boston plus 380. The next favorite will be Milwaukee at plus 480. Then the Phoenix Suns are 7-1. And you know who likes the Phoenix Suns at 7-1? AZ King in chat just said Booker is the real MVP, and Book and Hayton are the closest thing to Shaq and Kobe this era. Yeah. Again, this is AZ King. I believe the city of Phoenix resides in the state of Arizona, and I believe Context Clues is telling me that AZ stands for Arizona, I think.
Yeah. And he said that Marcus Dunn needs to give his defensive player of the year back to his rightful owner, Mikal Bridges. Hey, man, Mikal may have a shot this year.
Why is he got to call Marcus Dunn?
Listen,
Smart. I get what he's doing.
Well, I mean, the very good play on words. The last I checked, the Suns did not go to the finals last year. They went the previous year.
Williams was the best defender on Boston last year, for the record. He got hurt, right? But I think that I think Williams was a better defender than Smart, right? And I don't actually – his best take is the Mikal jail. Mikal is like legit, and I don't know where he finished in defensive. He was probably top 2, top 3. But, yeah, he's really, really good, Bridges. I agree with that take that he could have been Defensive Player of the Year. And all that stuff is so silly. Like
it's because you have so many people voting on it and all this, and the media, they all contribute, and it's kind of like the All-Star game, right? Like the fans vote because they want to see their favorite players, and then the coaches and players, or the coaches kind of vote on like the next set, which, in my opinion, I get it. You want the fans to come out and be intrigued and pay that $10,000 to $20,000 to go out to All-Star Weekend for the weekend when it's all said and done to enjoy yourself. So I get it. But AZ King, the Phoenix Suns are playing okay.
They're playing great.
And we'll see, we'll see what happens at the end of the season. Because the playoffs are a different animal, as we already know. Lakers Bucks, is that where we're going next, Dean?
Yeah, Booker a little bit too one-dimensional for me to be an MVP guy. Like, I think he's really good. He's exceeded my expectations.
Whoa. Okay, Dean, now, whoa, not so fast. Now I got to slow you down here now. Devin Booker, you're saying one-dimensional. First of all,
he's good.
No, hear me out. There isn't a team in the NBA that would take a guy that can average 25 to 30, okay? Oh, and let me say, we say one-dimensional, but you need guys that can put the ball in the hoop in basketball, which is why I keep telling my son, you got to shoot it. He can play great defense, but it doesn't matter if the ball's not going in the hoop. Secondly, Dean, his peripheral numbers have picked up this season, so we can't just question one-dimensional. If you go to the sports books, all his props come out at 5.5 every day. Rebounds and assists. He's been getting it done.
He's not as good as Giannis, and he's not as good as Tatum. Like that's that was kind of my way of saying that. Like, maybe I should have phrased it better.
That's what I'm saying. Don't call him one-dimensional, because Giannis has had big 37-point games and 4 rebounds and 4 assist games this season, and Tatum is doing the same thing. Like Tatum, and Tatum is probably consistently rebounded in the 6 to 8 range this season. But hey, I'm not saying Devin Booker for MVP, but pump the brakes on one-dimensional. With Chris Paul out, the peripherals have been up, and with Chris Paul playing, Dean, from a basketball perspective, he's going to be more one-dimensional, because Chris Paul is probably one of the most ball-dominant point guards in the league. All right, Lakers Bucks. Sorry, Dean, I know I cut you off there. I love basketball, love the game, which is why
so quiet. By the way, it's so quiet. We haven't had an injury update in over an hour. Like, nothing's. What's going on?
So nothing's happening, right? I'm telling you, somebody big is going to be out tonight, and let me see if I can figure out who it is. So, guys, let's play this game while we're talking Bucks Lakers. Give me the player that's actually going to be out tonight that no one has talked about all day. That's going to wreck the DFS landscape. After lock. Let's.
I don't think it's happening.
Huh?
I don't think it's happening.
Oh, you don't think it's happening?
The reporting is so much better than it used to be. I know we like to complain still, and I do it. I'm guilty of it. But like 4, 5, 6 years ago, it'd be terrible, like, as far as reporting. And I know the injury report.
I'm saying like the late scratch. It's Gene. It's like the calm before the storm. There's a weird late scratch. I've got my mindset. There's one coach there's a couple coaches.
Keldon Johnson.
No. Guys, come on, please play this game. I want to see who we get here. Okay, Tom says Keldon because Spurs. I can take that. I've got a random. He's not random, but I got a guy that I'm going to rule out on this slate tonight. And you go ahead, Dean. Lakers, Bucks. I'll give out my random scratch.
The way the slate is set up now, Lakers Bucks, should mention that this is a fun game to watch for sure. 231 is the total. We're expecting Middleton to be back tonight for Milwaukee. Lakers, but 9-10 point dogs here. But the way the slate is set up, and as far as the Lakers, they're without Dennis Schroeder, not a big deal. LeBron and Davis both expected to go. Milwaukee fully healthy with the exception of Middleton. Well, I think Beauchamp is out. That's not a big deal again. This is a tough one. It's tough to get the Giannis. It's tough to get the LeBron. It's tough to get the Davis. Just the way this slate is set up, it's hard to justify paying up for any of those three. And it's the same sort of deal. It's like I'm not here to discourage it. If I could pick one, it would be Giannis. Is this correct? We currently have Giannis at 4% ownership on DK. He's 12.3K. It's just really it just hinders the rest of your lineup, and we don't have crazy value as of now to justify it. If he puts up 90 points, then great, you need him. If he puts up 65, you probably don't need him. It's okay. It's not going to hurt you. Nobody getting ownership besides Giannis. He's at 3%. Holiday 1, like Middleton, I wouldn't think you're going to chase that. His first game back, it was a wrist, but I would assume they don't give him full minutes. And as far as the Lakers, nobody's getting more than 3% on DK. So, look, I got nothing to say here. I don't think I'm playing anybody in this game. If I find the salary for Giannis, I'm happy to do it. But I'm probably not, at least as of right now. Things change. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I am. With Middleton coming back, Giannis has been dominant in real life. Like, in real life, if you watch the games, man, he's been torching people. But fantasy, and it's amazing how fantasy will make you think about a player sometimes, which is why I detach from it and make sure I watch the game and understand, Giannis has been dominant. But from a fantasy point perspective, hasn't really been that way game to game. And guess what? He's going to have his stretches, Dean. As the season goes along, he's going to have some stretches where he goes 60, 65, 70, 72, 68, 75, but generally speaking, Middleton back, the way this team has been playing. Lakers playing better, but I don't think they're going to win tonight at all. I'm Giannis at 12K on Fanduel. I think I get him shares. We got him at around 3% on Fanduel. So I think I'm in at that price, Dean, but probably as we go through our script here, probably more around the 15% range, not like the 25% range. You get what I'm saying? 15% Giannis at a 150 build tonight is plenty, considering the sentiment of the field is to not play him at all.
Yeah, I think you're talking FanDuel. He's going to be a little bit more playable there, just kind of the way that the salary works.
Yeah,
I'm pulling up his ownership. His ownership on FanDuel was it still only 3? Okay, well, maybe we need an ownership update. We haven't had an ownership update in an hour or so. Which will be coming in soon. Maybe I have to refresh, but yeah, it is shockingly low. Also, national TV, and that's just meaning to me or you or maybe some other people, but somebody, the average person that wants to play daily fantasy today, they don't have league pass. They want to watch their guys play. So I always feel like there's some artificial bump on players that are playing on the national TV game. Yeah, but that's all I got as far as this game. Could be a fun one to watch. I don't really like the fringe players, and the studs are really expensive, and that's that.
Yep.
Toronto, the Raptors are in Brooklyn. 224 is the total. Toronto is pretty healthy these days. The only one that's out is Precious Achiuwa. I guess Otto Porter still has that foot, so he will not be playing. Boucher's got an arm. He will be playing with that arm. Brooklyn, they're without Yuta Watanabe. Ben Simmons is out. Wild that TJ Warren is expected to come back tonight. Who used to be a real player in this league, pretty good.
He's actually still a real player, Dean. That's going to help this team a ton.
Well, who knows what he has left? He's 29, but he's a really old 29. We'll see.
Boy.
Well, you're just assuming this is the guy we saw 7 years ago, out of nowhere. Who knows what's going on?
I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is they don't need him to be that guy. You know what I mean? They just need him to come in. Play if he can give them 12 points a game, that's going to be plenty on that team with Durant scoring 30, Kyrie scored 25, Ben Simmons scoring his 12 to 15. If he scores 12 points a game, Seth Curry is going to get his 10 to 12. That's going to be a lot on a team that's got scoring. Joe Harris with his couple 3-point buckets from the corner.
I'm not going to play Joe Harris. And I think he's hitting some optimals now. At least he was earlier. He's speaking of injuries, since coming back from injuries, he's been terrible. This is a pretty good 3-point matchup against Toronto, but if I could get beat because I didn't play Joe Harris and he made like 6 or 7 threes, he's probably going to play 33 minutes or so. But I'm not on that. I think we kind of like him. 13. He's getting. No, I should. That's on FanDuel. Okay, it's DK specific, right? That's where I was looking at Joe Harris, where he's like almost 4K, and of course he benefits if he actually makes his threes. He benefits from that 3-point bump as well. Just kind of pulling it up on the fly here.
We got Flo in the chat giving some big news. Trae Young, Clint Capella, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Jalen Johnson, Frank Kaminsky are all game time decisions.
That's not big news. That's worthless, but thank you.
No problem.
No, I'm angry at the coach. Because like we knew they were all questionable already, but like we thought we might get some clarity. What's going to change now in like an hour from now? But yeah, don't even update it because that's your update. Well, I guess, and Kevin Love's questionable too. Game time decision is the update. No update. But yeah, stay tuned on the I don't know why I'm angry about it. But yeah, all right. So Joe Harris getting 17% ownership right now in DK because he's 4K there. So you're not playing him on FanDuel.
That's still though, man. And I just hit the X button on Joe Harris at that point. Like straight up X button. If Joe Harris is going to soak up 20% of the lineups, like what? Let's hit the X button.
Yeah, and we got him projected for 34 minutes, which is that's a lot.
Even if he scores 20 fantasy points, like he could score 22 fantasy points. That's not going to hurt you.
We got him projected for 24 for the record, so basically 6x.
I guess what I'm saying is, for Joe Harris to be a lower impact player in that team, he is playing minutes. I get it, but I'm saying he's still lower impact. Just hit that X button, man. Thank me later.
Middleton expected to have a minutes limit. Yeah, that's not terribly surprising. Stevens is probable. He had the fish, but he's expected to go. Talk to me about Brooklyn and Toronto. Toronto, fully healthy now. I'm looking at ownership stuff, and I don't think anybody's
Pascal Siakam. That's it. Nobody else.
I mean, if you have one big span on this slate, Pascal's your guy.
No, I'm not saying I'm just saying if I was going to play him, he's 9,400 on FanDuel. He's the only person I played from Toronto tonight.
Bamba ruled out.
Mo Bamba is out.
Mobley is going to feast, by the way. He's going to get all the rebounds.
Yeah.
As long as this game lasts, like, he's just going to dominate the glass.
Even if it doesn't, like, he still could get there.
And Orlando's not going to be an efficient offense. Like, Mobley might get 10 rebounds in the first half.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he could have a double-double in the first half easily. Let me see where his line is set at.
10.5 is what I saw earlier. I wrote it up on Scores and Odds. Check out scoresandodds.com. And maybe I'm just trying to will it into existence, 10.5, because I may have 10.5 is a pretty solid bet. I think if they lay like one.
I'm going to tell you another one that I think you could get in on tonight. It might not feel good, but if the books have anything around Zion Williamson, 1.5 blocks plus steals, like just go ahead and get in on the over, okay? If you can get that anywhere right now.
I don't have a good take on his stocks, like, to be fair. I have to look into it, but that's a good bet.
Okay. I'll give you this, Dean. I'll give you this one. In terms of blocks and steals, over the past couple games. Against Toronto, he had 6. OKC, 4. Now, Memphis, he only had 1. And San Antonio, he only had 3. And I'm saying only, but the line is 1.5, Dean.
Yeah.
And that's blocks and steals. So it doesn't matter. He could have 2 steals, 2 blocks, a block, 1.5. And I don't know if you know, but he's kind of he's going to roam and get 2 blocks tonight. I can tell you that right now. Somebody's going to try to get a layup at the rim. He's going to come from out of nowhere and send it into the stands. They're going to think they have it again. He'll do it again. Like, this is almost free. Almost.
Let's knock out Toronto and Brooklyn. You said Pascal's your only guy there in Toronto. Yeah, I like Pascal. I don't know if I'm going to get there with 36, 37, 38 minutes potentially if this game stays close. What we saw earlier in the season where Durant, I believe, was locked down by OG Anunoby, and Anunoby is really, really good defensively. I don't remember if Kyrie played that game or not. I think Kyrie's the better play amongst the two when you consider salary, We've been saying this for a while about Kyrie, and like he's been disappointing. But the salary keeps sort of dropping, or it's not really rising. He was fine last time versus Washington, but disappointed like 3 games in a row before that. And then Claxton's minutes are pretty solidified in the absence of Simmons, with the price has been bumped up on him. I don't have much else to get excited about in this game. I mean, I can't imagine paying for Durant if I'm making like only 5 lineups or 10 lineups. There's no chance I get the Durant. 150, I guess he's in the pool, but I'm not playing him.
Yeah, but I played Durant over Kyrie for what it's worth. Like, I just go ahead and take the salary bump. I know KD's 10-6 on FanDuel and Kyrie's 8-1. And yeah, I mean, we get it. But listen, man, this is Kevin Durant's team. This ain't Kyrie's team. Kyrie lost this team with all the shenanigans over the past 2 seasons. Trust me, this is Kevin Durant's team. And because here's what I'm saying. If you look at Kyrie's shot attempts, he hasn't really taken a dip. Like, he's still taking almost 20 shots a game. He's shooting around 50% from the field. But this is his team. He's efficient. He's doing it all. Like, I forget Kyrie, man. I just play KD. Now, 8,100, I get it. Like, I'm not saying don't play Kyrie. I'm saying if I had to choose between the two, I just play KD. That's really what I'm saying.
He just has those games, man, where like, and then they're hard to predict. Like, he puts 40 points in the bucket. He has that capability, and maybe we see it tonight. I'm not here to stand for Kyrie. Rarely do I play him. I always think he's a little bit overpriced, and I'm like you. I play Durant over him, in the vacuum, however you want to say that. But I don't know if I can pay for Durant on this slate. Maybe I'm probably playing neither, but maybe Kyrie if I get there.
So, and let me just say, I do think you can strategize tonight and get 1 big spend in, but you can't get 2. So, like, if you play a Durant at 10-6 on FanDuel, then your other spins are probably going to be like in the 6K range. One guy in the 7K range, or 2 in the 6s, 1 in the 5. Like, that's how you're going to have to attack the slate, I think. And that's kind of my thought process there.
Mr.
I think
Richard,
you can get 1. Especially,
go ahead.
Especially when Colin Sexton is 5,100 and he's going to get big men. Like, that's kind of the lock button of the night. And I'm not saying lock, like, actually, like, I'm going to lock him in. And I do think you can because he's playing Indiana. But I'm saying he's 5,100. The minutes are going to be there. He's probably going to get you 30-ish fantasy points. And so that's kind of a given. So that gives you kind of this early salary relief, even though they're playing at 9 o'clock. You go ahead and plug him in. You got a little bit of salary relief. And then you can, mix and match some of these stars.
Mr. Richard in chat was asking about Royce O'Neal, DK. Yeah, he's fine. He's one of those like lineup fillers, like last man in. If I have 5-6 left, sure. I'm not going to blow my lineup up. I'll play Royce O'Neal, but I'm not starting my lineup with Royce O'Neal. That's kind of where I'm at on him. Philadelphia, Memphis 217, very paltry as far as the total. Philly on the road here is a 5-point dog. Don't really love Embiid matching up with Steven Adams necessarily. Harris is questionable right now currently. Tobias for Philadelphia. Memphis pretty healthy in the absence of Bane. We've had that for a while now. Jake Larivia is questionable or doubtful. Doesn't really matter so much. I think Morant's not going to get played. And another big spend player just not going to get played. I think he's less than 5% as far as the ownership right now. I don't really like this game. The total is not very appealing. Philadelphia solid defensively. Highest owned player currently right now on TK is Embiid at less than 4%. So, I got nothing to sell you. You got anything to sell me in this game?
Man, look, I don't know about fading Joel Embiid when he's the whole team right now. I mean, we talked about Giannis and we talked about all these other guys, but Dean, I don't want anybody to be fooled here. And I'm not like in the Joel Embiid for MVP conversation right this minute. But in a blowout, Dean, this was a blowout, okay? I mean, Cleveland, just pretty much ran them out of the building. He put up 43 fantasy points in 28 minutes. Like, I can't stress enough how if I was afraid to fade any of these stars, it's Embiid. Like, I don't care about Steven Adams What I care, because look, if Joel Embiid played 35, 36 minutes the other night, he's probably going for almost 60, D, maybe 60. I don't feel comfortable fading Joel Embiid tonight, even against Memphis on the road. I know they're down players. He looks really good paper, but Joel Embiid could essentially walk out here and score 40 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 or 3 steals and blocks, and just light this slate up, and they still lose by 10. Like, if I'm playing one star, it's Joel Embiid tonight. Like, one big spin. It's Embiid.
Wow.
Nobody wants to play him. But think about it. Every other star has help now. Every other, like, big spin. Giannis has help. Anthony Davis has help.
Yeah, but Jokic, if Jokic gets no Murray tonight, no MPJ, and Capella is out, if you want to add all those qualifiers, like Jokic is going to just crush.
Okay.
So
and I get that, but what I'm saying is, but what I'm saying, and I do get that, D, and I agree with you, like Jokic would have the easier matchup, but essentially they would be in the same situation. You get what I'm saying? Like they would essentially be in terms of the balance scale, they would be the same. Jokic would be by himself, Embiid's by himself right now. Like, I don't even consider Tobias Harris real help anymore. He's just like a role player. You know, he's an overpaid role player in my opinion. And I like Tobias Harris. I like his game. But, like, to me, Tobias Harris is a high impact. Like, Jamal Murray to me is high impact. Like, if he's in the game, wow. Like, he's going to make incredible impact. Tobias is like, you know, just a solid player. And look, he's in the NBA. I'm not trying to disrespect him. The guy can play. Like, if you caught him in a YMCA or he just dominate, right? Like, I understand that. I understand that. But my point is, like, Embiid is the team, just like Jokic would be the team if Murray sat tonight. I'm just telling everybody, this game looks really bad on paper until Embiid scores 80 fantasy points. And then you're like, what? What was I thinking? Like, he's the whole team. Why didn't I just play this guy? You know what I mean? Like, if they get blown out, okay. But right now, no Harden, not Mobley, geez. Guys, no Maxey, no Harden, no Maxey, and it's Joel Embiid and the scrubs running out here against every team every night. And if they don't get blown out, Embiid's going for 60 plus, easy. Like, all right, dude, I know. I'm getting off my Joel Embiid soapbox.
We got to pick up the pace. We got games to get to, but
hopefully I've sold you on the Joel Embiid play here.
Eric in chat says, don't listen to Dean. Embiid has done just fine. 25-9 against Adams. First of all, that's not good enough. 25-9. I don't want him. Great. 25-9 for 11K. Worthless. Thanks for nothing. I don't want 25-9. Secondly, the last time we played against Adams, according to StatMuse, feel free to fight with StatMuse, 14-9. The time before that, 18-9 and 8. 31-12 is good. 31-8 is good. But recently, his last 2 times against Adams, he's not done well. So there you go. And if he gets 60 points, great. Did I need him? Nope. And he's probably not getting 60. I hear what you're saying. All right, we got to move on. Next game up happens to be, it's New Orleans and San Antonio. This is like probably the best game stack on the slate. 233 is the total. San Antonio is an 8-point dog here. Lots of body parts as far as who's in and who's out in this one. New Orleans getting some back. CJ McCollum's back from conditioning issues. He's likely to go, but they are without the wing Herb Jones, one of their best defenders. Najee Marshall also expected back. Brandon Ingram still out. San Antonio without 2 starters. Jeremy Sohan is out. Pirtle's out as well. And McDermott and Richardson, 2 guys that come in their rotation, also out. So, there's some value here. The big body of Keldon Johnson looks like a pretty solid play. The tricky part is New Orleans' last 10 games have been the best defensive team in basketball. Now, part of that probably is because Herb Jones is really good, and he's not there, so the defense takes a slight hit. We have a cheap Najee Marshall. We love Zion this game. We talked about him several times throughout the show. Zion is going to absolutely annihilate here against San Antonio. Nobody on the inside to slow him down. KBD is an interesting cheapie. Zach Collins, interesting cheapie. I like him more so on DK than he is on Fanduel. Fanduel, they kind of price up a little bit. His minutes never really going to get into the 30s, but pretty good fantasy point per minute player. Really good fantasy point per minute player, actually. If you want to go off the board in this one, Larry Nance is 4K on DK. And this is a game that's going to go small. I think this is much more of a Nance game than a Valanciunas game as far as minutes-wise. Nance always closes, not always, but almost always closes over Valanciunas. I think that's the scenario again tonight. There's a lot of good stuff here. What do you want to focus on?
Play CJ McCollum, play Zion Williamson, sprinkle in, and I do mean sprinkle in, a little bit of Jose Alvarado, just a sprinkle, not anything
What's
crazy.
A sprinkle? 3%?
10. Let's call it 10.
That's more than a sprinkle. 10%.
Well, I mean, I'm saying, but if he does well, I feel like 10 gives it enough chance for maybe to hit with some of your nuts lineups that you may have. On the other side of this game, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson. I'm not as interested in Zach Collins tonight on FanDuel. Keaton Bates-Diop, okay. But, I don't really want to play him either. I'm just kind of really interested in Devin, Keldon, CJ, Zion, sprinkle of Jose, sprinkle of Larry Nance. All right, Dean. I got us through that game. Want to talk about Indiana and Utah?
Yeah, but the CJ thing, I don't know. You think he's going to play full minutes? The conditioning issue.
He's 7,600 on FanDuel, so I'm willing to just take the risk in mass multi-entry.
Just want to walk back for a second, Orlando. If anything's popping.
Dean, I'm trying to push us forward here.
I know, but I'm curious if our projections did anything as far as Bamba being out. We are projecting like Franz Wagner 33 minutes, Bull at 32, Mo Wagner. Nothing really pops here. That's interesting. Okay, there's really nobody you have to play in Orlando. This was what I wanted to see. Our projection team did update it. They still have other bodies. Harris is lurking. The Admiral's lurking. That's not David Robinson. That is Admiral Schofield. That should be specific there. He never played for the Magic. Did we mention Nance? Marshall is also another cheapie. I think you can play in New Orleans as well. This is a good game to get some potential cheap value. Murphy,
everyone, I want you to realize that Dean asked us to push this thing forward, and he is still on this game.
I want everyone to see this. I think it's one of the most important games. It could be Atlanta-Denver, depending on. What's the news here? Yeah, Butler on track to play. That's no surprise. Jamal.
Now he's moved to Miami, folks.
Say it again. Well, I'm just reading out.
Miami.
You gotta, you know what? You gotta multitask. This is just how it goes. Bogdan Bogdanovic he's going to play tonight. By the way, yeah, we kind of expected that one. But the rest of the Atlanta news, nobody's asked the other Hawks, I suppose. Let's talk about Indiana and the Jazz. This is another fun game too. 239 is a big boy total.
Yes,
it's high and it's tight. Utah is a 3-4 point favorite here. The tricky part is that Halliburton, he's got a groin, so he's questionable. Will Halliburton play? Well, he won't play. I think he was at shoot-around. Jalen Smith's got a face. Despite that, he's expected to play also. And Utah's as healthy as they've been in a long time. Conley's still out. Gay is still out, but otherwise pretty clean as far as the injury report. Good environment. What do you like here as far as the Pacers and the Jazz?
I like Benedict Mathurin. He's been kind of a favorite guy to play. If, Halliburton sits, then, God, they're going to roll out, good old TJ McConnell, and you might have to consider playing him tonight. God, I hope they don't do this. Buddy Hill's going to take some shots, but I'm not really worried about Buddy. I'm not playing Jalen Smith. I'm not playing Miles Turner. It's really just Benedict Mathurin for me and a little bit of Tyrese Halliburton if he plays. On the other side, of course, we're going to get all the Colin Sexton we can handle. Anyway, I was going to do a James Brown reference, but I'm not. I'll do it.
You already hit Little Richard earlier, so you might as well stay on.
I'll do that at the end. I don't mind Jordan Clarkson as well at 6,600. We're getting ownership on these guys. I think the route to go here. Lauri Markkanen is at 20% ownership. Definitely want to get some of him as well. And I think we'll let it ride from there.
On DK, Clarkson at 7-1 is pretty usable, 22% as far as the ownership. Sexton, better play on FanDuel, but still very usable on DK as well. He's 5-1 on FanDuel, 5-5 on DK. I like that price. Kelly Olynyk, should play, low 30s as far as minutes, close to a fantasy point per minute. Nothing about this Indiana matchup's going to scare me away necessarily. Turner's a pretty good defender, but overall, that team is not frightening me at all. He's getting 15% ownership. We got teens for Vanderbilt's just pretty cheap. You never know if or when he closes. This is – and Markkanen's interesting. He's like the fifth man as far as ownership. Of course, he's the most expensive. But I would get over that on Markkanen at 11% if I was MMEing. Anything else of notes here? Yeah, I don't mind Miles Turner. I'm okay with Turner. There's about Turner in chat. Of course, I guess McConnell, like you said, would draw the start. And even if he's come off the bench, he would be pretty usable at 3.8K on DK if we get Halliburton out. Stay tuned as far as that, but we very well are going to get that news potentially, most likely, at some point into the slate. This is a 9 o'clock game. There's a couple games after it as well, so maybe set yourself up for a path if you're rostering Halliburton or if you're counting on McConnell. Have a 2v2 or a 3v3 set up in case you need to go to plan B if the news does not crack the way you want it to crack. Houston and Phoenix, 229.5 is the total front end of a back-to-back for Houston. They're 11-point dogs. I said it before. This feels like a game like if it gets out of hand, Houston is going to pull their guys fairly early. Devin Booker, some would say one-dimensional. That's an egregious take, outrageous. If his one dimension is scoring 60 points in the bucket, that's okay. I'll take that one dimension. He's been on fire. No Chris Paul again tonight. Well, never mind. I'll just move on. It's a time constraint thing. We have no time to get into any sort of.
Yes.
Torrey Craig's got a groin, so he cannot play basketball tonight. And Houston's fully healthy. No Jason Tate, but otherwise, nobody is injured on the Houston side. It's hard to like any of these Rockets. On this slate, everybody's playing, everybody's healthy. I don't want to pick on Phoenix. It's a severe blowout risk. Do you like any Rockets?
No.
Okay. How about the Suns?
I look with the Suns. I mean, we got Devin Booker at 10-2. I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm not playing him at 10-2. I love Devin Booker, but 10-2 in a game that could be like an extreme blowout, I'm willing to pass. I don't hate Cameron Payne, but, man, we got so much ownership on Cameron Payne tonight, Dean, on FanDuel. It's insane. Like, at that ownership with him at 6K, you know what I'm going to do? We're hitting the X button. Like, I don't have a reason to play him that ownership at that price. You get what I'm saying? That's really all it is.
I like the heightened matchup against Houston. Like, everything gets heightened. Defensively, they're one of the worst defensive teams in the league. Let's go ahead and pull it up. They're third worst defensively. They play pretty fast, 10th fastest pace. I think they're like top 5 in yielding stocks, like both steals and blocks. They give up both. They're just a great team to pick on. And you mentioned Booker as far as blowouts. Dude put up 51 in a game where they won by 20 last game.
He didn't play in the fourth quarter. I know. It's crazy.
Yeah. And the matchup, obviously, like I'm not going to sit there and say you can't play Booker, but if you're playing one lineup, if I'm playing one lineup, am I going to play him? Probably not. I just hope. I mean, he was 6 for 7 from 3. That's probably not repeatable. He was 20 for 25 from the field. Again, probably not repeatable. It can be repeated. It's unlikely to be repeated. 69 fantasy points, 69.5 the previous game against Sacramento. Yeah, he's on fire. Certainly peaking, and it's like a modern day Kobe. Some would say, much like his teammate DeAndre Ayton. Reminds if you squint, reminds you a little bit of Shaq, or no? Maybe not.
No, not at all.
All right. Well, you can play.
Look, man. Look, I got respect for the Suns, but let's not go throwing out Kobe and Shaq talk, okay? Because Booker and
it was
and
a callback.
They're nothing near Kobe and Shaq. And our good friend AZ knew that. He was just kind of kidding around.
Just having fun.
Look, man, like I can show you some clips of Shaq. Like, I actually saw Shaq play basketball his whole career, and I saw Kobe play basketball his whole career. Like, trust me, this is not a Shaq-Kobe situation, okay? At all.
There isn't one. Is there one that even exists right now?
No.
What's the
if anything is close,
LeBron AD?
No.
In an ideal world, like when they're getting him at their
prime. I don't even think that's That's close.
Yeah.
Because listen, man, Shaq was like such a dominating force. I think if anything was close, give me. Man, you might have to give me like Magic and Kareem or something. Like, and that's going way back. You know what I mean?
Randall and Mitch Robb, according to producer Steve. I'm shocked he named a couple Knicks.
No.
Yeah.
Bob Cousy and Bill Russell.
Bob Cousy.
Like, I'm just but you get my point, right? Like, I'm saying those guys dominated their era. Magic and Magic. Now look, so True North says Embiid and the scrub. If that's the case, we can say Embiid and Harden. We can say Jokic and Murray. But the problem you're going to run into is Murray's nothing like Kobe Bryant. What's that?
I mean, the problem is like there's no comp for Shaq. Like Shaq's like its own entity, and like there's nobody else. You know, like Stoudemire and Nash.
And the only comp for Kobe really is Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have.
You get what I'm saying? It's like it'd be different. Stoudemire and Nash, if they both did not get hurt, maybe.
Alvarado and Zion is a great answer.
I like the trolling.
Shaq wasn't very good.
Those are the better ones.
That was Wade's team. When Miami won the title, that was
Stockton and Malone. Different style of play, but I get that. I understand that one.
Like Stockton's nothing like Kobe, and Malone's like nothing
exactly.
like Shaq.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Hey, the last game, the Bulls are playing some basketball tonight. I suppose we should talk about them. The Bulls are playing the Warriors. 237 is the total. It's a big boy total. They're 7-point dogs. The back half of the ESPN doubleheader. I believe both these teams are fully healthy. Lonzo Ball. Yeah, that's how it's been all season long. Golden State fully healthy. And this is one of those games, right, where it's a good environment, especially for Golden State. I like the Levine price pretty well. I think he's the best player in Chicago when you consider everything. He's the only one getting any ownership. And it's the same old story, the nature of this slate. We've said it a million times. Yeah, Steph is awesome. Steph's great, but do I have the salary for him? Probably not. Would I like to? Sure. Draymond's got priced up a little bit. I think it's a good game environment, but like as far as like making stuff work from a DFS perspective, I'm having a hard time liking this game. Tell me otherwise.
Yeah, man. I understand it. I still think you play a little bit of Curry. Definitely think you play Zach LaVine on both sides. And look, I've been on the Zach LaVine train. I think I've said that every time I'm on this show. Like, and it's less about Zach LaVine's performance and more about the upside at the price that he has, right? And at some point, do we say, all right, well, you have to hop off the train. As long as he keeps scoring in the mid-30s, they're going to keep rolling him out here at 7K, 6,900, 6,800. And one of these games, he's going to score 30-plus real points, 40 real points. And that's really what it is. So Zach LaVine isn't going to hurt you, may not help you a lot of nights, but the night that he does help you, you're going to be in a position to win the GDP because he's going to slap off. So that's where I am with Zach LaVine. I don't hate Klay Thompson as well. Klay is 6K on FanDuel, so it's kind of the same situation. Like, you know, is this the night he scores 25 real points and then, you know, gets a couple blocks and steals?
Otherwise, you don't need him.
And goes to work, right? So, but at 6K, I'm okay. My phone thinks I'm talking to it. Google, I'm not talking to you, buddy. Thanks. So, yeah, I like those guys. But all in all, I mean, this game, I think you can play some guys from both sides. I know DeRozan's been freaking awesome, but I just can't pay $8,600 for DeRozan right now. I just can't do it.
Any questions in chat? Feel free to fire them off. The Crunch Time crew is coming in momentarily. We fully caught up. Hey, you know what? I haven't asked or begged or groveled once the entire show, so it's probably down to like nothing. But hit that like button. We gotta do like a Pavlov's dogs thing here with the like button. But yeah, let's like the button. Like the button. Hit the like button. Smash it. Whatever your ads of choice happens to be. You want to caress it? Feel free to caress it. Subscribe to the channel. We like that too. Subscribe. So like you know when we go live. You kind of know when we go live, anyways. At this point, basketball's on at 7. We're gonna be on at 5 o'clock unless the slate's a little bit goofy. And turn on those notifications. There you go. I hear noise in the background. Does that mean the Crunch Time crew is already here? It does. Kevin Roth. We got a big boy slate. It's 11 gamer. Welcome back. I don't know why I say welcome back. You were here yesterday. How was that show? That one game fiasco?
It was one of those days where like you think, oh, we're probably going to only go for like 5 or 10 minutes. And then Ice and I ended up going pretty much the entire time. Like his content was awesome. So big shout out to Keith. I thought he did awesome on that show, honestly.
Some people thought like the content, the written content on the site actually wasn't a thing. I don't know, Andy. Did you hear anything about that? As far as
yeah, Dean, once you get your Slack figured out, you'll get all of the news of what I instruct people to do as far as written content. So
Wait,
Dean can tell that story. I got like 17 messages from angry RG subscribers that Dean hadn't submitted his expert survey answers yet. They're like, we know Dean's on Thursday. Where's Dean's answers? But he just decided not to do it.
I just, I was like a one game, and I heard Ross say last night, yeah, we might not even have a show. I'm like, oh, cool, I have Thursday off for basketball. And I was doing football stuff, and my brain was on football, and like, yeah, and then I get a ping. It's like, hey, and then where's your expert survey? Oh, yeah. I would love to do it now, but I have to do the thing, and my bad. I apologize. So that was me just like trashing myself, but there you go. I wrote on it today excellently. Is that a word?
Oh yeah, Dean wrote like 5x the words just to make up for yesterday.
What's up, Cards? Did you play last night's one gamer? I'm guessing no.
No,
Maybe?
I did not. I did not play the one gamer. I was on the football show after NBA Lock last night, so focused my attention on football as well. But unlike Dean, did not have any content responsibilities for NBA on Thursday, so no nasty grams here.
Yourself and Will, you guys pair up some of these nights, right? Did you do the content last night as far as the showdown slates? I know you guys do the Sunday night, I believe.
Usually we're on together Mondays. Most times I was with TJ last night.
There you go. We should yield. Wait for news. Chief, you got anything else as far as for the Crunch Time crew, or shall we step aside and get out of here? Let them do their thing.
Negative. I am good. Good to see all you beautiful people.
I just wanted to see if there's any
Me too,
update.
Chief.
Well, have fun talking about it.
We're all just sitting here in silence waiting for the Halliburton news. Let's be honest.
He's gonna play. I think he plays.
You think
But
so?
I think the young one's a bigger deal, isn't it, Andy? I think that whole game because
Steve.
Oh yeah, I mean, what do you got?
By the way, here's my secret after lock. Here's my secret after lock late scratch tonight. Joel Embiid, because you know how Doc Rivers does this. Everybody's ready, and he played him tonight anyway. But Joel Embiid is my my late scratch for the night.
All right.
Because.
That's always a good guess.
Yeah.
That's
I
true.
mean, if there was a draft,
that or a
for
Clippers player, yeah.
if there was a draft, like Embiid's like a first round pick for that, right? Like just if you're just guessing blindly, I feel like he's a good pick out of nowhere. But
Are you talking about after their game technically locks?
I get, if he's like scratched like an 801 or something like that,
Yeah, I'd go him or a Clippers player.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
That's
or
it.
a Spur. I think no Clippers in the slate, so I think Pop might pull a move on us. We'll see.
Yeah.
Good thing people aren't playing Spurs tonight. Oh wait, they are. I assume you have some Spurs to talk about, Andy. It's Big Body Johnson. I wrote that for you in the expert series just for you, Roth. I don't know if you read the
I love
expert.
it.
I made sure to reference his big body. I was thinking of you as I was writing it.
Wonderful.
All right, myself and Will, we're going to step aside. Fanduel sponsor Crunch Time. Enjoy the show. Taking y'all straight up the lock. Hit that like button. It's Kevin Roth. Fanduel sponsor Crunch Time. It's starting now. Go for it, Roth.
Let's do it. Welcome to it. It is indeed Crunch Time, and yes, it is sponsored by FanDuel. I was just reading the YouTube chat here. Hoosiers Hang Banner says, might be the best teams in the country. I think he was talking about college basketball, but I think he's talking about this crew right here, one of the best teams in the country coming at you, joined by one Mr. Andy Means. Are you our point guard? Are you our center? You're a star forward? I don't know. What's your position on this team?
I mean, I'll be honest. When I would play pickup with friends and whatnot, I would hate it because I was always the tallest. Like, you got the big guy. I was like, no, you take the big guy. I want to play on the wing what I'm used to. Yeah,
I don't leave the 3-point line.
Yeah, I'm not banging in pickup.
Well, I am. I'm only 6'1", but I bang. So I will guard the big
I
guy.
would be like, Roth, you got the big guy.
I got
That's
him.
how I roll.
I
I'm
got
that
him.
dogged guy.
Cards got him.
I got
we
him.
can put cards. Yeah, we'll put cards on the center. Cards, how you feeling, man? You like the slate?
Yeah, I really don't, to be honest. I think the slate kind of stinks, but we'll get into that. This reminded me of I did not play basketball very long. Obviously, I'm 38 and I'm 5'6", so I enjoy jokes at my own expense occasionally. But I did play in 6th grade once against a kid that ended up being the star of the high school team, and there's a photo of him resting his forearm on top of my head. So anyway, that's my lasting memory.
Are you like that guy on the Zion High School video?
Yeah, it's bad. I've always been so short, but that's okay. I've learned to embrace it. But the slate kind of stinks, so that's my story. We'll talk about the slate. We'll try to figure it out, but I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it either. It's weird and different, and there's news that we're probably not going to get until after the show ends, and it's not us. You think of a large slate, and we usually think, well, there's about 10 screaming value guys that we're going to talk about, but there's really not. And I don't know. And maybe from cash game perspective, it's a little more exciting, but I don't really love it as a GPP slate. But we'll see.
Really.
Sometimes those are the nights that become surprises.
Wow. Okay. So what I'm hearing is that the slate sucks and there's a ton of games. But hey, you know what? It's our job to guide the people to it. It's an equal playing field. So we just got to be a little bit better than the next guy. In Andy's case, you got to be a little bit better than the next guy. In Card's case, you got to be better than literally everyone else because we're trying to win GPP.
Yeah, right. So don't listen to me.
Right. Means, why don't you break down the slate a little bit for me? You can zoom out if you want. Apparently, we're waiting on news that we might not get.
Yeah, it's I know what Cards is trying to say. I wouldn't say it. The slate sucks because there's 11 games. There's all sorts of stuff that can happen. I think it's indescribely, really, is I think a better word, because there's not really much that's happened today. I kind of predicted that this morning because there's only 4 Q tags. One of them was a fake Q tag because Butler's probably going to play. We'll see what's up with Tobias. But then, I guess that Trae Young got a late downgrade to questionable. Jamal Murray got a late downgrade to questionable. But we're still waiting on, at the end of the day, all we care about from our perspective or anyone who's playing is all we care about is who's available, who's not available. That's all we really care about. And we still don't know on a couple big ones with Trae and Tyrese Halliburton is the late one. But what Cards was alluding to it from a cash game perspective, Roth, how I said before, when I talk about my core plays, how I'll put a confidence level on them basically.
Sure,
I have to tag somebody.
You got to tag a few guys.
Yeah. But sometimes play this dude or you're an idiot, or sometimes I'm I got to tag somebody. Tonight is I got to tag somebody.
Right.
Because there's just
there are nights where it's just this guy's a little bit better than the other option, so I'm tagging him. And there are nights where you just this guy's a can't miss.
And as of right now, the guys I have tagged are just they're a little better than other ones, but you can play anybody you want, within reason in cash games. And that could change barring Atlanta stuff. And for those who are maybe a little late to the game and just tuning in to try to catch up, Atlanta has John Collins is out, DeAndre Hunter is out, and Justin Holiday is out. Then they already had Capella questionable. They already had Jalen Johnson and Frank Kaminsky questionable. Matter a little more, depending on who else is in or out. And then Trae Young got the midday downgrade. So that's a really big situation because those are they could be really thin. And if they're without all of those big guys, not even talking about Trae, Okongwu is literally their only front court player. Literally their only front court player. And then Tyrese Halliburton is a big one too, because we always talk about how let's use the Heat for example. Butler had missed 7 games in a row or whatever. So that first game, we were loving some Heat, but after 2, game 2, game 3, game 4, prices go up. But with Halliburton, he's a new questionable tag. All these Pacers are cheap, man. So and it's two hours after the slate lock, so it's going to get in one of those weird spots where who knows when it happens, if it happens. So I don't. Yeah, indescribable slate is how I'll put it.
Okay, and is that first game where we're waiting for the Trae Young news and the Atlanta news, is that going to break here mid-show? Is that we should get that?
It might. It's 7:30 Eastern, so it is basically an hour away from locking. And for those who are premium subscribers, we do have what if projections up. We don't have anything for Atlanta. We might have we might have put a Trey one up. I'm not sure. Like it's impossible for us to go through all the permutations when there's a ton of guys questionable. So we don't have one up for Trey, but like we can use our noggins a little bit. Like if Trey's out, we want to play DeJounte Murray. Like if all the front court guys are out, we want to play a Conwu. But like we do have a what if projection subset up for no Halliburton, no Tobias Harris, and no Jamal Murray. So yeah, it's going to be close. We might get that while we're on the show, the Atlanta one. Yeah.
All right, that could be fun. All right, well, let's dive into a build here, if you don't mind starting us off with a little FanDuel cash. By the way, in case you didn't know, FanDuel has got the best thing going in the biz. It's a single entry series in the NFL. Reserve your entry at the $5, $33, and $100 tier. Get in on the action weekly and seasonal prizes. Sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook. Legal sports betting state. They've got their bonus offer going on. The no sweat first bet for new customers up to $1K. Make sure you are checking that out and giving us a little thumbs up on the YouTube there. Means?
Don't quote me on this, but I think it might be the last week of that single entry series too. So if you guys have been wanting to get in, now's your chance because last week to qualify, I believe. Yeah, FanDuel. All right, I have two guys tagged. Like I said, not attached to them. I will easily move off them as like must plays if news breaks a certain way. Clarkson is one of them. He has point guard, shooting guard eligibility, and Evan Mobley is the other one, power forward, center. We'll go back and start here at point guard. There's a handful of guys I feel really good about. I'll mention those guys right off the bat. Working my way from, I guess I'll go from high salary down. Terry Rozier at 7'4". They're still without LaMelo, Hayward, DSJ, and Martin. He's 7'4". Campaign at 6K. He still projects really well. I would still play him in cash games, but like, guess what? It's really hard to get fantasy points when Devin Booker gets literally all of them. Payne has been kind of the loser in that scenario with Booker going off, but like you have to expect some regression for those guys, both ways. He's only 6K, still no CP3. I don't recall what was CP3 was in the news for something last night. I forget what it was. I don't remember. Yeah,
I saw your gift today responding to something about it was Kanye or whatever.
It was purposely chosen, Roth. It was purposely chosen.
I gave it the like because I thought it was purposely chosen. I'm proud of you.
I'm pretty sure you're the only one who liked it, so I appreciate that. I figured you knew what I was going with there.
Yeah,
anyways, well, this isn't TMZ.
Because he had sex with Kim Kardashian.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
Cut out. Yeah. Anyways, continue.
Allegedly. Colin Sexton. He's shooting guard. I'll just move over to shooting guards solely here. He's 5'1". I think he's had like basically 27 to 33 FanDuel points in each of the last 5 games. He's only 5'1". Like, I mean, pretty easy / safe / logical cash game play tonight. As well as a handful of other Jazz that I've already talked about and we'll talk about. Devin Vassell at 7K. He's right in there too. That's enough. Let's move to small forward. Let's see here. Najee Marshall, if he starts, he's 3'8". He's a good source of salary relief. Keldon Johnson, big body, 7K. Lauri Markkanen, 7'5". Royce O'Neal, 5'8". Yeah, that's pretty much the small little group of small forwards that I like. Power forwards, you have Mobley there. You have Big Body there. You have Markkanen there. You have Royce there. And then other guys we'd be looking at would probably be like KBD, K-Debate Job. He's 4'2". Jalen McDaniels, 4'5". Kelly Olynyk, 6K. I don't love this position, if I'm being honest, which is one of the main reasons I tag Mobley. You can put Keldon there, obviously. Yeah, this is one. Assuming you're using Mobley at the power forward spot, this is one of the positions I'd probably like to fill out last the more I look at it and talk about it. I'll rattle off maybe 5 or 6 guys there, but not anybody who's like a primary thought for me. So we'll move it to center before I'm done here. Not much better, honestly. Jokic will get a pretty decent projection bump, I feel, if Murray's out, because remember, MPJ is also out. I think he's put up 1.7 FanDuel points per minute with no Murray and Porter on the court this season. You're basically getting like last year Jokic, and last year Jokic, I believe, was the MVP. So not a bad guy to put in your lineup. that game, they play Atlantis. That game starts in 55 minutes. Keep that in mind. We'll see what happens there. Zach Collins, I didn't mention him at power forward. He's fine. Al Horford, I like him a lot. Probably more for tournaments, though. Yeah, I mean, not a lot to like. Still kind of just waiting on some news to hit. So there's no one, honestly, no one stands out above anyone else. I'm not joking when I say that. Like, it's just a bunch of above average plays, and you just got to figure out how to squeeze them in. For what it's worth, if you're having difficulty with some 2v2s or something, I would definitely play the waiting game. The only guy I would play in cash games from that first game is probably Rozier. I think I think I mentioned him at guard spot. He's in the 7, so that's probably it. Probably not worth taking risk on like the Jalen McDaniels and PJ Washingtons and those guys. Mason Plumlee's, I didn't mention him. I wouldn't play those guys in cash games if it's me. But yeah, that's it. I'll pass it to you guys.
Okay, very good. Cards, I've got a GPP question that we can kind of open it with, and it'll get into the strategy of what your plan is, and then you can take it from there. But Thomas in the Discord says, if Atlanta news drops and a ton of value opens up, should we avoid that value in GPPs? Example, fading a Okongwu.
It's a layered question, and I think the answer on a loaded slate would be yes. You try to avoid some of that. However, I think for tonight, the answer is no, because there isn't a lot of obvious value, and the news is breaking late enough to where the masses aren't going to react to it to where, right? If we knew all of this news at noon, if we knew that Trae Young wasn't going to play and Capella wasn't going to play along with the other guys that are out, if we knew that at noon, because it's so hard to find value on this slate, Okongwu would be the highest owned player on the slate, probably without question. Bogdanovich would be pretty high owned, and Murray would be chalky. So I think because it's going to be, within maybe a half an hour of that game starting, I think my angle would be to play the chalk and then get different with the higher end plays. Okay. Again, it's probably not a hard and fast answer on that. It's all in the context of the slate, and I think tonight's slate is such that that's how I would approach it. Because if you sort FanDuel by salary, right? Giannis is the most expensive. We got him at 4%, Embiid at 3%, Jokic at 12%, Anthony Davis, Tatum, Durant, Curry, Booker, LeBron James, all in the single digits. And we don't have a guy over 12% owned until you get to Ja Morant, who's like 10th on the salary scale. On an 11-game slate, or 12 or whatever the heck it is, I don't know, I lost track. On a slate like this, there's almost always enough value at this time of the year to where one of those top guys is going to get some ownership. But it's not happening tonight because there aren't the 4K plays that you want to go out there and, jam into your lineups. I mean, the chalk guys that we have in the 4Ks, no offense to them, but they're guys like Bates Diop and Najee Marshall. Like, they're fine. They project fine enough on this slate, but you're not just running out to play those guys. So I think if you get that value, you take it. Otherwise, again, this isn't a slate where you're going to go down and you're going to find this gem 2% owned guy that projects really well as a value. I can't just pluck out those guys at every position tonight. I think the angle that you take on this slate, because the chalky plays aren't really that much better than the non-chalky plays. Meansy mentioned it. He tagged the core guys because they're fine enough and you got to tag somebody. But does that really warrant a guy being 45% owned in a GPP? I don't think it does. Sexton's been solid and Clarkson's been solid, but it's not like these guys are going to go out and drop 70 and completely break a large slate. And if one of them only scores 25 and you get the guy for a slightly cheaper price that scores 35, that's the difference on a slate like this. So I think my angle is to maybe diversify your player pool a little bit, but fade a lot of the chalk tonight, like Payne and Clarkson and Sexton and Terry Rozier and Devin Vassell. We got at 7K at 28% owned. Again, I don't mind the players. I just don't think they are so much better on such a large slate to where they need to be 30+% owned. So you can diversify even within that mid-range, because you're not going to, the one angle you could take is stars and scrubs it and try to pick the right scrubs, but that's going to be difficult on a slate like this because there aren't a lot of scrubs to like to begin with. So maybe you diversify, you keep that balanced type of build, but you go for lower owned guys within that balanced type build. Zion, in a game that's got a 232 total, not as highly owned because they're getting some guys back. DeAndre Ayton, not as highly owned now that his price has come up a little bit, but he's been playing better. Mason Plumlee at center, maybe a guy you could look at a little bit cheaper in GPPs. So those are kind of some front court guys. I don't even mind maybe throwing in like an Al Horford tonight, maybe as a pivot away from Royce O'Neal, depending on where his ownership ends up coming in, particularly on Fanduel where Horford's pretty cheap. Backcourt guys, like if you want, it feels like overpaying for a guy like DeRozan. I think he's fine. Malik Beasley maybe as a pivot away from the other Utah chalk. If you want leverage away from the Utah chalk, I think he's fine. Those are a couple backcourt guys. And a final angle I mentioned before we turn it over to DK, I think stacking up the later games is somewhat interesting in some GPP builds. It gives you the most flexibility. Like the Indiana-Utah game is somewhat stackable on its own. It's got a 239 total, and we've mentioned the Utah guys are going to be pretty popular. If you just want to stack up that game, you've got all these spots open, and then if Halliburton ends up not playing, then you can get the cheap Indiana guys, and maybe you could add in a expensive player like a DeRozan or Devin Booker, who starts at the same time. So I do think maybe making some stacks of those 9 p.m. and later games as if it's like a late night slate lineup could give you that flexibility if we don't get a ton of news with these earlier games. That opens up a lot of value.
Okay, good stuff, Cards. Means let's talk some DK here. A quick question before that from Steve O. And I don't think we're big on speculating about in versus out here, but Steve O says, if a guy participates in shoot around the day of the game like Halliburton did, is that a decent indicator of them playing?
The report, don't listen to any of that personally, unless there's like video of him actually doing stuff.
Yeah.
The alert from us and where we got it from the writer, I believe, was he attended shoot around. Like, guess what? Like Water Boys attended shoot around.
Yeah.
Like he could have attended shoot around and sat. Like who knows?
Okay.
So like I don't really ever trust that stuff unless I see video. Like you want to see him actually getting a sweat in and see how he looks. But other than that, shoot around for sure. Shoot arounds now in the league, man, they don't do anything there. They're a joke. Like
right.
They're like a formality. Like they're not doing anything there really anyways that would indicate they're playing or not playing. So I personally don't listen to any of that stuff. I would rather listen to what a beat writer says and like their tone or their insinuation. Like would be surprised if he plays. He's not moving well, stuff like that. I don't care if someone's there. Yeah.
Okay. Such as this tweet coming through from Kevin, not me, some other Kevin. I'm not sure if he's a beat writer or not. I'll check that in a second. But it says no sign of Trae Young warming up yet. He would normally warm up in an earlier time slot. So that
is way different. Yes, that is. Now my antenna are going up because this is like 45 minutes before the game. Now we're talking about someone's pregame routine. Now my antenna are up.
And he is a writer for Hawks.com, so he is a beat reporter of some sort. But okay, continue. Yeah. Let's walk through what you're doing on DK with that in mind or just in general. Yeah.
And if it's me and I'm building my lineup right now, I'm starting to put together my non-Trae lineup right now. Like I'm putting in DeJounte, I'm putting in Okongwu, then I'm going from there. Like that. When I hear stuff like that, then you start sliding the scale a little bit. One other thing I want to say on the shoot around thing. If someone's questionable because of an illness and they're like they didn't attend shoot around, they probably didn't attend shoot around because the coach told them to stay at the hotel and sleep and rest. So like on illnesses, I for sure don't listen. All right.
Chinatown, for what it's worth, says, we know they're useless. Means he attended every shoot around at Duke.
Yeah. And did I play? No.
Man, that's an unnecessary escalation right there.
That was from Chinatown. But
remind me to tell you this. I'm pretty sure I've told this on the show before, but remind me to tell you a story about that after lock. Let's talk some DFS.
Let's do it.
So I have the same guys tagged on DK, same comment, not attached to anybody. Let's talk about guards who we'd be putting with Clarkson on DK. Sexton 5'5". DeJounte, I think he's 8'8" or so. He would be one. I want to see who starts for the Suns later. If they go Ish Wainwright or Damian Lee, the Ish is power forward. Damian Lee's shooting guard. He's only 3'8". I'd have interest there. Let's see. That's about it, honestly. Like, there's no. Well, let's put it this way. Like, I'm saving guard spots for like TJ McConnell if he starts, Benedict Mathurin. If I'm talking about if Halliburton's out, obviously. Mm-hmm. I'm saving like for DeJounte. Like, there's not a lot here, which again is another reason that I have Clarkson tag. Like, my main two guys I'm looking at right now are Sexton and Clarkson, and then kind of just waiting. So, not a lot to give, but not a lot for me to like say. I would just be naming names to name names. So I'm not going to spend any longer at the guard spot. Small forward, similar to what I said on FanDuel. Najee, if he's starting, I like him. He's only 3'3". And then up top is Keldon Johnson at 7'2". In the middle, I like Bruce Brown at 5'9". He's been great without MPJ. And I like Royce O'Neal at 5'6". He's been great without Ben Simmons. So those guys are adequate, if uninspiring. Power forward, Mobley's there. Najee Marshall's there. One guy I didn't mention, that small forward, who I think is fine, like him more on FanDuel, but Lauri Markkanen, 7'9", perfectly fine. Not going down my way to get him. PJ Washington at 5'5", again, he would be fine on a different slate, just because this game starts right away, and that's the only game that starts in 10 minutes. So not really interested in using up a spot on him. KBD, he's 3'9". I'd be fine there. Not a lot to like here. I mentioned Larry Nance, 4K, but this is pretty much a Mobley position for me or Najee Marshall position for me. And then kind of just waiting, because you can put in Mobley there and feel pretty good about it, because at center I would probably just play Zach Collins. He's 4'9". I mean, this is kind of where we're at, the 11-game slate, and he's one of the best salary plays on the slate right now, which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
But in my shell build, as we move along through the night, I would have Collins in there at center and just kind of wait. So we'll see what other news pops. But again, Jokic is 11-4. He's probably going to be cash game viable if like a lot of value opens up and Murray's out. So yeah, that's about it, man. I feel like I'm not giving much, but there's still a lot of balls to drop here. So pass it back.
Okay, real quick, is Okongwu value strictly based on Capella, or is he okay in cash either way? Was one question from NBA DFS.
I don't think
that's worth.
Yeah, I don't think he's viable if Capella plays personally, because he's not like he's going to be out there playing the 4 a lot. So I would not play him in cash if Capella's in.
Okay. Cards, let's talk some GPPs here, waiting for, the official news, but is there anything very different about DK as opposed to FanDuel, or is it kind of your same thoughts?
Nope. Slate still stinks. Now
it just doesn't suck. It stinks. We're working on it.
Meansy didn't do a great job of selling me. It didn't stink. I mean, Zach Collins and Bates Diop are two of the best plays on such a large slate. But
you win there.
it is. I mean, it is like it could turn on its head. Like, we get news that Halliburton's out and Trae Young's out and Capella's out. Well, then all of a sudden, you got a lot more stuff to talk about and a lot more value opens up, and your lineup looks totally different than it does right now. I mean, I definitely don't think there's anybody you need to have, even in GPPs, in that first game. It's pretty tough sell even to full stack that, because people do that anyways. Heck, that's the only game starting at 7 o'clock. You're going to see 50 people stack that up to take their screenshots. I don't see that being the slate breaker on a slate like tonight. So don't play anybody in the first game. That at least buys you 30 minutes. I don't really have a stronger take on the plays. I Isaiah Roby grades out a little bit better on DK because he's $3,100. And he has shown the ability to produce when he gets the minutes. We just haven't seen, the last 6 games he hasn't even topped 20. And he's going to have some ownership as well. So just a tough sell in GPPs. I think the one chalky guy that I am okay playing in GPPs is probably Mobley, simply because those positions are so weak. And Cleveland's a 10-point home favorite against Orlando. It's a good matchup for him. So Mobley's the one chalk guy I will probably play. I think the guard spots like Clarkson and Payne, maybe somebody like Bates Diop, I think those are the guys maybe you can look to get away from in GPPs. But we've pretty much covered most of the viable plays. Vucevic, another guy I'll throw into that GPP mix at center, though, I think particularly at 7,300 on DraftKings. We haven't really seen the ceiling game from him lately, but DeRozan's been going nuts, and this should be a high-scoring game. Maybe he gets there tonight in a good game environment. So we can throw out questions so that we got enough time to get through those.
Very good. We got about 6 minutes here until lock. Beantown, by the way, in the YouTube chat says, Sneaky Kevin Love Night. That is not a name that I heard mentioned. I imagine it is indeed sneaky, but is it sneaky and good cards?
I don't play any. He's got a Q tag as well, so you need to make sure that he is out there. They announced
he's playing. Yeah.
Okay. So, but he hasn't played very much at all lately, so I can't see him getting like that 20 minutes. If there was a chance at him getting like 26, 28 minutes, and with Allen out, I get it. I just don't see them doing that though with a guy that's played like 12 total minutes in 2 weeks. So I am not going there just because I don't think there's much room up on the 20 minutes.
Okay, that's fair.
Can we give props to Mr. Kevin Love for just rocking the grays now, man? Whew. I saw him on like Instagram or something promoting his wine. I was like, you got more grades than me, man. Like he is full. I'm loving it. Old man team.
Right, nothing wrong with that, man. Yeah, he's a veteran in the NBA, and he just lets everybody know, like, yeah, I am a legit veteran in the NBA.
Owning it, yes.
All right. Let's see here. I've got a few questions and comments from people. One of those comments being, Donovan Mitchell looks underpriced for his ups. Any interest from either of you in Donovan Mitchell?
Go ahead, Cards.
Yeah, I think he's definitely in play for tournaments. People find the salary a little awkward because he's he's a little bit above that balanced build. And so, and those that maybe have a lot of salary will just try to go up to a stud. I don't mind it in GPPs for sure.
Okay, very good. Another kind of more of a comment here from Gamble says McCollum is underpriced on FanDuel for his role, assuming he's 100%. Any interest there, Cards?
Normally, yes. Again, how much is this team going to push a guy that hasn't played in the last 4 games? If he had been back for a couple of games, I'd say go for it. But there's probably a cap on the minutes. And now 34 minutes, 32 minutes against the Spurs could be enough. But I just don't know if the ceiling is there tonight. So I'd rather play Zion if I'm spending up for somebody from the Pelicans.
Okay, very good. Prodigy FanDuel single entry question cards. You want Marshall and Olynyk or Murphy and Bates Diop?
Oh my God, all these combinations are going to be so bad. Give me the first one with Olynyk. I like that.
Okay, very good. FanDuel Cash means for you Trey Jones and Kelly O. Oh, Olynyk's starting to pop here. Or Vassell and Zach Collins.
On FanDuel, I do the first one.
Okay, I like this comment from Hampton. Again, a lot of people just not even questions. They're just saying how they feel. He says, while Mathurin becomes a great play if Halliburton's out, I feel like he's a very good GPP play, even if Halliburton is in at 4% owned on DK. You like that, Cards?
A little issue with the salary. 5,600. But yeah, he's been playing well. And again, I think especially as part of a game stack, I think he's fine. I think he's priced appropriately. Like it's not like he doesn't have a game over 40. So 5,600 for a guy that doesn't have a game over 40, little iffy with the ceiling. But definitely if Halliburton's out, definitely as part of a game stack, certainly as a placeholder, but I actually think at the moment he probably grades out as more of a safer type of play than a ceiling type of play.
Okay. And if that's the Hampton, I think it is. Props to him. I think pretty sure he just beat the tournament a couple days ago. So shout out to Hampton.
Hey, good work, man. DK Cash, and I meant to ask you this, means this is my screw up. He says fade Plumlee in the first game, and I will add to that. Is there anybody you're playing in DK Cash from that first game?
No.
Okay. I think that is wise. Jay Sam's 2 quick questions. FanDuel single entry. Are there any Jazz players you wouldn't play together, cards? And don't you think Jokic should be higher owned than where he's currently projected?
Well, Jokic isn't higher owned because people are having trouble finding the value to get him in there. And I'm probably not playing both the chalky guards together in the same lineup because the odds that they both get there from a ceiling perspective are fairly low. And they're also going to be 2 of the highest owned guys on the slate.
And who are those guys, just for those who may
Sexton
not?
and Clarkson.
Okay.
So, like, Olynyk and Markkanen are solid plays, but they're going to come in just a little bit lower owned. I'm certainly fine with them. But Sexton and Clarkson I probably wouldn't play together because of the ownership and the fact that there's a few more guard plays out there, and I don't expect them both to hit the ceiling at 40% ownership together. So Clarkson and Sexton is my official answer to that question.
Very good. Okay, got 1 or 2 minutes left here. DK Cash says means Rozier and Vandy or Plum Dog and Levine.
2 Hornets. I would honestly put someone else in one of those Hornets ones and wait. The second one, I think, if I had to pick one, but I would not play any Hornets on DK personally.
Okay, that's fair. FanDuel Cash. What about McDaniels in FanDuel Cash means? I know he locks, but he's cheap and he projects pretty well.
I would. I don't think
time?
he's anywhere near close enough of a play to lock him in.
Yeah. Okay. FanDuel single entry cards. What did I click? Come back. Murphy and Siakam or Marshall and Jokic?
Second one.
Okay. FanDuel Cash means this is also for single entry, but means Ayton or Turner straight up.
Straight up, I would go Ayton.
Okay. Chinatown says, I've got a general rule. I don't play Spurs in cash because Pop, their rotation, who the hell knows what they're doing. Is that a reasonable rule or no?
Was that for cash?
Yes, it was.
It's not necessarily that like they don't know what they're doing. It's just they get blown out a lot. So
yeah,
that's always the tough. I mean, they're only 6-point dogs at home, but their arrow is pointing down, so I get it. But if the game's anywhere close to competitive, those guys are going to play like 33 to 35 minutes. Those 2 main guys. So.
Okay, I saw kind of a cool.
And Jamal Murray is playing. Jamal Murray is playing.
Murray is in. Okay.
Yeah.
We're coming up. We just hit the lock. I saw kind of a cool stat somewhere that applied to the Spurs, where it was like points given up, and obviously the Spurs are at the top because everybody scores on them. And then it was points given up to starters. And it was way, way lower because everybody beats on the Spurs so badly that starters against them don't really play. And thus, if you're looking for fantasy plays, there's,
Trae Young is out, by the way.
Oh, Trey's out. Anyway,
right at 6.
Interesting.
Hope you guys didn't play Hornets.
And that's why we didn't play anybody from the first game. So, Meansy, I assume with the Trey out news, did we get other news in Atlanta too? Carlos?
Not yet, but shortly.
Not yet.
Okay.
Well, I mean, since we just hit lock, we can take our time here. We don't need to rush because we have 30 minutes. So, although I do have
Capella is available to play.
Capella is available to play,
and Young is out.
Okay. Means what kind of pizza you going deep dish?
No, I don't do the deep dish, man. I do thin crust out here.
That's nice. That's good stuff right there, man. I approve.
Sorry, all of you loyal Chicagoans that are watching that are going to flood my DMs, but I know you don't need that stuff. You can get the really good pizza without all the dough, Yeah,
that's a good choice. Yeah. So now Murray's a lock. DeJounte?
Yeah, I want to just double check here. I'm just seeing what they're saying in our Slack. So DeJounte in 280 minutes with Trey off the court is at 1.24 DraftKings points per minute. Yeah, I mean, he's going to probably project. He's like in the 8s, I believe. He's probably going to project in like the mid to high 40s would be my guess. I'm double checking his price tag. He is 8.8 on DK and 8.8 on FanDuel. So yeah, I'm guessing he's going to project really well, and it's probably going to be the top stud to spend on. So and then we also have to factor in too that Bogey's back, or allegedly. I think they said he's back with a little bit of a minutes limit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That'll factor in a little bit, but he's only going to play probably like 20 minutes or so. They're just looking at, and Hunter's out too. And I'm going to take Hunter off because there's this all besides Bogey, man. It's all low usage guys now. Like, I'm going to just rerun this career real quick.
I mean, is he basically like going to be like he was on the Spurs last year? Like,
yeah, yes, and that was like a 9K, 10K player. You're
he was
exactly
a 10K
right.
player, and you didn't feel bad about it.
Yeah. Here's the usage rates for players with Trey and DeAndre Hunter out. Again, Bogey factors in a little bit. It'll skew this, but like DeJounte Murray, 32%, AJ Griffin, 25%. Everyone else is below 20. Like, he's going to project really well. So,
okay. What about this?
Unfortunately, we don't get a Congo, but yeah. He's a guy from Duke. We got him. I think we got him. He started at 3. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll see where he projects. If I'm being honest, I didn't like really dig into AJ Griffin, like what he would look like with no Trey out. So I'll see where projections land. I was hoping we get a Congo too, but it's going to be the DeJounte show. So did I say DeJounte show? Yes.
The DeJounte show. Cards, anything that you want to add to it?
No, I think that sums it up pretty well. And, Murray is still chalk that I'd be fine playing, given that it's a tough slate to find, those high upside guys. And he is a guy that's going to give you a bit of a ceiling tonight as well. So,
yeah, I mean, he's got 50 plus fantasy points in him, and that's not at all a stretch.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't want to say I expect it, but I think he's going for 50 plus fantasy points. Yeah, I do too. I do expect it. I do. A couple of questions, and then we'll get on out of here. This is actually a really good question that I hadn't considered. Is Capella more viable in FanDuel Cash now? Because we're losing one of their high usage guys, and Capella is in, and it was a position that wasn't great.
Yeah, I think I think he was like in the mix. The thing with him though, again, like this isn't a guy who's like we said this with Gobert the other night. It's not like Trey's out. All right, let's run some Capella post ups.
That's so true.
Like, it's like he's just going to still do the same stuff he does.
Yeah,
you can make the argument it hurts him because Trey's not getting them easier buckets. I wouldn't argue with anyone doing that. You could also make the case that there's going to be more missed shots on their own team, so he has more chances for like offensive rebounds and putbacks. My head, it doesn't move the needle at all. So if he looks fine now, he looks fine when it updates, sure, but not anyone I'm going out of my way to get.
Okay, good answer. Stratface says, is Bogey playable?
What do you think, Cards? I'm curious what you think. I thought he's like 4K or something on FanDuel. He could get you 30, but like it's someone else for 4K probably has a better chance. I don't know.
We've got him at 22 minutes is probably about right. He's over 5K on DraftKings. Like, I suppose, but I'd rather not.
Okay, but more of a FanDuel.
Definitely more on FanDuel if you're playing him anyway.
Yeah. All right. We'll take 2-3 more questions and get out of here. So Meansy can eat some pizza. God, it sounds so good now.
Driver is on the way, by the way. Just
very good. You. All right. McCollum, FanDuel Cash means?
Yeah, I'm right. Yeah, just pull. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Who, McCollum?
Yeah.
Not crazy interested, especially with DeJounte. Probably don't need it now.
Okay. Is Culver a bad play now with the news? I assume he's talking about the Trey news.
Let me see who we put in the starting lineup. Hold on 1 second. God, I thought Jarrett Culver was out of our lives.
He did play 29 minutes the other night.
Yeah. I want to see we're probably gonna put him in there. Would be my guess.
Was this a preseason thing, or what's your? Why do you hate Jared Culver so much?
Oh, I mean, I just remember like when he was with the T-Wolves, when people would be out, I remember just like his underlying rates always looked so good, but he just couldn't shoot. So, like we're talking like of people who qualified the worst like shooting in the league. Like it was that
field
bad.
goal percentage was 38 last year.
Ooh,
It's not great.
There we go.
no, that
Yeah.
sounds good. Okay, guys, anything else we want to discuss here?
Sounds like
Nope,
pizza.
I think I'm good.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I want to discuss.
It's pizza time. I got breaking news. I'm sure you all are very excited to hear this. This just came in. Got this text from my wife. Charlie said poo-poo, and then she did on the potty.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's
There we go.
very exciting. As 2 days ago, she pooped on our floor. So hey, we're making improvements here as well.
And everybody who doesn't know Roth, Charlie is not the name of his dog. That is a human who
That's
pooped on the
true.
floor. Yes.
It'd be really impressive if my dog was pooping on the toilet. Hey, with that, now that we've talked about that, go eat your dinner and enjoy. For Means and for Cards, for our wonderful production team, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. We will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.